Hey, good morning. Welcome to the JeepSolid Garage. I'm glad you're here. So together we are going to look at how to properly replace freeze plugs on an engine. Rattlesnakes!
Don't drop it.
Stop! Actually had this for a... So here I'm working on the rebuild on an inline 6 out of a 1992 Jeep Wrangler Yj. So be sure to subscribe to follow along with this rebuild. I wanted to cover real quick about replacing the freeze plugs. Well, are they freeze plugs? Actually, they're not. They're core plugs. People call them freeze plugs, but that's actually not their original design. Yes, I'm sure some people out there will say, well, if the block ever freezes and the coolant needs to expand, these will pop out. It's not really what they're designed for. Ultimately, these were originally there because of the casting process of building the engine. They needed a way to remove the sand, so they need to get the sand out of it and clean it all out, so they have these plugs here. So that's why they're called core plugs. Yes, there are stories in the past of people's blocks freezing and popping those plugs out, saving the block from cracking, but that's kind of the minority. That's not typically what you're gonna see. If your antifreeze or water that you have in here freezes, most likely you're gonna get a break somewhere down on the block, and you're not gonna have the freeze plugs pop out and save your block. If you're freezing, yeah, you got other issues going on. So with this rebuild, I have the block here all machined and prepped and painted, ready to go. It was hot tanked out at the machine shop, turned out really good, but I still have to clean up the surface where our freeze plugs, or should we start calling them core plugs? Where the core plugs are gonna go here. You need to have a nice smooth surface in here. There's a few different types of core plugs you can use. Now here I am using the steel plugs. People have an issue with these though sometimes with corrosion. As you can see with the ones that I took off of it originally, these steel ones have the tendency to leak a little bit more than the brass ones. The brass ones are more expensive, but if you have your block out, if you have your engine out of your vehicle and you're replacing freeze plugs, you may as well spend a few extra bucks and get the brass plugs because they're less likely to corrode, they have less issues with leaking. But also I've got another tip on leak prevention. If you're going through all the trouble of pulling your engine out, doing a rebuild, something like that, or you have a leaky core plug that you need to replace, you may as well replace it with the brass plug, but also you're going to want to use a little bit of gasket material. But before we get to that, let's look at the preparation for the surface here so we get a nice clean seal and we don't end up with any leaks. We will get to the prep here. Now the key to getting a good seal with our core plug is going to be our surface preparation. And as I showed you on this other one, these get really nasty and corroded, these steel ones in particular. So if there's any corrosion or rust or little burrs, you know, little nicks or things from when you took your old core plugs out, any rough surface in here at all, we need to file that down. And what we're going to do, I'm actually going to use a little Dremel here with a little fine grit sandpaper on it just to kind of smooth this out. It actually already feels pretty good, but you can also use a little Scotch-Brite pad or sandpaper, any of the above items, just to clean this up, get a nice smooth surface. Then we're going to do our final preparation, our final cleaning, final washing of this because we want it cleaned out real good. So this is the last thing I have to do before I work on my engine assembly. And yes, this kit, these core plugs, I got a whole rebuild kit actually from Enginetech. They give it to me free of charge to do a review on. So I'm kind of walking you guys through the entire process of what I'm doing on this engine rebuild. So that's why I'm using these steel plugs. But if you have a chance to upgrade to brass plugs, I think that's a good idea. You're not going to have near the corrosion issues that you do with these steel plugs. Although this is what, this is a 92, so it's 26 years. Does that make this 26 years old? And it didn't rust through, you know, there is some rust and corrosion on it, but 26 years, 150,000 miles, held up pretty good. And yes, it would be a little easier to reach these back to if it was not on the engine stand, but because I'm going to be washing it, doing my final wash here in a second, just want to leave it on the stand for right now. And when I put the plugs in, I'll take it off the stand here though. Alright, we got the engine all cleaned up, a little coat of WD-40 on the cylinders and critical parts that we don't want rusting. This thing will start rusting right away, so you got to dry it real quick, hit it with a little WD-40 to just prevent that rust. So let's move on to actually installing our core plugs here. I got to take it off the engine stand though. Can't do this with it on the engine stand, it's just too wobbly. I want it on the ground on a nice firm surface here. Alright, this will be a little bit better to work with. Let me tip it up on its side here, and we will get started. Okay, now I've got a few tricks on putting the plugs in, these core plugs, without having leaks. The last thing you want to do is go through all this work, put the engine back in, and then one of these back ones is just kind of dribbling a little bit of leak. That'd be a huge pain. So we are going to drive these in. Some guys, and there's nothing really wrong with this, they'll take a socket that fits inside of this, just on the inside lip. I don't really like that method. I think there's a better way to do it. The risk you run of doing it this way, I think these plugs, they're kind of designed for the pressure when you're driving them in to be on this outside ring here, not necessarily on the inside. You might distort it a little bit. A lot of people have done it that way though for a long time, put a socket in there, beat it in. The one big risk you run though is you can drive it in too far. It can get kind of tweaked a little bit, off-centered, so you know, one side and a little bit farther below the side of the block here. So you definitely don't want that. You want the plug in just down flat right against the casting. So we are going to use a driver's set. So we're going to pick a driver that is just slightly bigger than our plug here. This one should work fine. And this will give us a nice surface to contact all around the edge of the plug there. And then when you drive this down, it's going to stop right flush with the engine block. So that'll be just perfect. And my other tip for preventing leaks is we are going to use a little bit of this Permatex Aviation gasket maker. This is a non-hardening gasket maker. And from a lot of the research I've done, this is just a nice little added insurance. Yes, there are a lot of people out there that just drive these plugs in dry and don't have any problems with them at all. But if you want to just kind of increase your rate of success, I guess, the likelihood of you not having leaks, we're going to use a little bit of this Permatex Aviation gasket maker. And I will be sure to link this in the description below where you can find it on Amazon, you know, for $5-10. I think it's well worth the insurance so that you don't run into problems because, you know, like I said, the very last thing I want to do is get this all put back together, put in the Jeep, and some little dribble running down like, oh, are you serious? I got a little leak right there. So a little bit of insurance, I think this will be well worth it. So we're just going to take a thin coat of this gasket maker. Doesn't take a whole lot. It's a nice little bit of insurance to prevent leaks. Might have got a little too much on there. That's okay. Too much is better than not enough, I guess. And that should do the trick. Nice and smooth all the way around the edge here. Perfectly flush, that's exactly what we want. And that's one reason why I think I prefer this method over the using the socket. Where's my socket? Somewhere around here. Because yeah, like I said with the socket, you can drive it in too far. You know, you want to stop with a nice flush surface there. So that looks perfect. So how about we finish the rest of these off? Wipe it off so it looks all fancy. And since I've got you here, let's put these two little threaded plugs in here as well. But we're actually going to hit them with a little bit of Teflon tape here before we drop them in. Alright, that looks pretty good. So what do you say we flip it up on its end here and get the two on the back side here, and the one, is that at the oil gallery? And you know what? Don't forget the little oil gallery plug right up here at the front. As I'm cleaning up, that dawned on me. Ooh, that's right, there's one more. That would create quite the mess in the timing chain there. Let's get a little Teflon tape on here and put this guy in real quick. Definitely don't want to forget that. Alright, there we go, that's it. Should be good now with no leaks. Like I said, this Aviation Permatex, I'll link it in the description below. It's just a little added extra insurance so that last thing I want on this is any leaks. So I think this is well worth the money. So that's it for today. Thanks for watching. Be sure to leave a comment down below. Let me know what you think. If you have any tips or tricks, things you like to do. So thanks for watching. Have a good day. I missed. All right. So I think to continue with assembly, I want to throw this back on the engine stand. Just makes it a little nicer. Somewhere easy to hold it. And that let that gasket sealer, that gasket maker dry. And yeah, it stinks. Permatex Aviation number 3 has a nice pungent smell to it. So what's next after this? I guess put the, oh, I gotta assemble pistons. So the next thing coming up is assemble pistons, make sure the rings are all gapped properly. Go through that process, then I can put the crank in and check the clearances on the bearings on the crank. And then after that, let's say pistons, crank, then camshaft, lifters. We're getting it done. So I think my goal, having this up and running by summer. Yeah, I thought realistically summer, but spring is seeming pretty realistic. What is this? This video will be released, end of February, March. Yeah, into spring. It's a real possibility. Because, like you guys know, at least if, I don't know, do you subscribe? Do you follow along? If so, then you know that, yeah, this isn't my full-time job. I'm just a hobbyist who enjoys working on things and sharing it with you guys. So thanks for following. I appreciate it. And I really appreciate your comments. Hearing from you guys every week, that's always fun. Alright, let's see if I can lift this. Actually, can one of you guys give me a hand here? Throw the... Wouldn't that be nice? Reach through the camera, grab the engine! Yeah, I'm just gonna go for it. One of these days, I'm gonna go do something like this and it's gonna end up in a disaster and I'm gonna have it on camera. That'll be great. You guys can laugh at me. I mean, laugh with me. Alrighty. Last time, Jason helped me lift it. Good Lord. Need to get a grip. Oh. I don't know what an engine block weighs, but it's a lot. There you go, piece of cake, no trouble. So we will have it ready for next week's episode. Got this thing greased up better. Remember how it was squealing earlier when I turned it? I had a little bit of oil down there, but it just wasn't enough, so got some good grease on it. So now let's throw our bag over it, protect it. It's coming along, looking nice. All right. I think that'll do. So thank you guys. Thanks for watching the bonus material here. See you later.